Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
And a good... What is it, Wednesday? Today's Wednesday morning to you.
Oh
Welcome
my.
to the EST Hangout live here on Edmonton Sports Talk on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com on YouTube. And thanks anyone for listening on the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Sorry about the little bit of a delay there getting going today with the Hangout is, for whatever reason, not so sure what the full rationale behind it was. Hold on, I got to double check.
Just admit that nothing's wrong.
Well, there was something wrong. We didn't start till 9:15, Tommy.
I know. We've
people
done
know
that
that there's
before,
something
though,
wrong.
because we've had hoopla within the studio.
Well, I was connected to the Wi-Fi here. I guess last time I was here, we didn't connect to the Wi-Fi. We did a link. We didn't use Wirecast.
Yeah,
Wirecast won't let me start streaming, which is the program we use to stream things.
Now I'm doing
and
social media here.
Somebody's saying echo. Hopefully that should be gone by now.
Fix it.
Well, there was two of them there, so I can only hear so much. Yeah, there we go. It sounds better. So their thing wouldn't start streaming, so I had to connect to something else, and then that wasn't working for a couple minutes, and then we got going. Enough of my bitch session.
More importantly,
We're on?
I'm doing a social media post.
Okay.
Which is the utmost importance. Do I tag you and your cryptocurrency
No,
account?
I'm back.
You're back?
I'm back.
Oh, you've
I'm back on
reclaimed your...
Insta.
Okay.
I'm back on Insta. 2 days ago, I got the email. I was back. I sent that to a lot of people, apparently, my crypto money.
Yeah, you had me convinced.
What was great was there was only one like on the post, and it was me, apparently. So, by the way, Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you. Hernan Salas went to go get Shawn Belle, and I'll take you through what's happening on the Hangout today.
Yes.
But what was great is our buddy Chad. So when I first got hacked, he got into like a whole DM back and forth with the guy, whoever hacked my account.
Really?
So when I went into my account, I actually have to let him know that because blocked me after, but I blocked Ursh. Ursh was so annoying to the people that hacked that they blocked him from my account because he kept going at them with things. I'm like, just give him back his account already.
Wow.
And stuff. So
Ursh
thank you, Ursh. Thank you,
pitbull.
Ursh. Here on the Hangout, we're live at Commonwealth Stadium in an office yet again as we will do the Hangout from 9 to 11. Why? Is because from 11 until 1 o'clock, there will be no oil stream today. There will be no lock shop today. We're going to have live coverage of the Edmonton Elks, officially unveiling Ed Hervey as the club's newest general manager. What is old is new again when it comes to the Edmonton Elks. Ed Hervey obviously was the general manager of this team in the 2010s, led this team to a Grey Cup in 2015. Let go, not because of football reasons, but now he is back in a reunion. I think from the day he was let go to yesterday when this was announced officially, I think something most Double E fans are very excited about and wanted to see this reunion. So we'll have full coverage of the press conference. Hopefully we'll speak to Ed, and then the coverage will continue throughout the day as well, here in Edmonton Sports Talk with the EST afternoons, as well as the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. Jay and Reed will be here themselves later on as well. So now we're just waiting for Hernan to go bring Belsey in. And then, so we're back at Commonwealth Stadium. We're joking with a few people here. Might as well just give us an office here for a while.
This one is vacant.
Give us an office until, I don't know, the new year?
Sure.
I think we've been here enough. We'll probably be here a little bit more.
Yep.
We'll just welcome ourselves in here.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
so.
The amount of people that we have deep ties to here is ridiculous, even though there's been a large changeover in staff over the last few years. I showed up here. I was going to park on the rec center side. I'm like, nah, it's too busy. So I went over to the side behind the church. It's a little hidden gem. And
I parked the LRT.
rec center. LRT?
The whole parking lot across the street where the LRT is. There's free parking over there.
Anyway, so I used the old Italian church secret, and I go over there, and who do I see? My old junior teammate, Brad Shochu. And I'm like, Shoch, what's going on? Let's go. I need to get in. So I just walked right in, and it was very casual. And then Hernan gets here, and he's hugging it out with people. And then J-Mo shows up right when you and I were talking about him. And sounds like the vibes around here are pretty good now. And then we saw Mike Arcuri, who I've known for years and years, and Mike knows my brother as well. And a lot of good people here, and they seem pretty happy which is important because there were some rough times. I would point more so to a year ago to maybe 3 years ago. There was a rough window in there where morale wasn't strong or high, and that seems to be shifting a little bit, which is great. There's our superstars.
Our boys are here.
Our boys.
The entire GCL Diesel Oilstream pre- and post-game show from last night.
We had a great show. Then we went for
here.
a beer after. It was lovely.
Did you guys?
Yeah. We went for a beer.
Good for you.
Someone
guys.
had to be up at 5 a.m.
It's been a while since those nights. The 1260, you guys do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Where you guys would go out and have your show and then go get drinks. We had the famous drinks with Pam Kirby after in March of 2020.
Yeah.
We won't get into that full one.
March
but,
11th. I'll never forget.
Yeah, so it was actually, I will say that there was a good party vibe almost yesterday at EST Studios because
Yep.
I was there for a while. Reed and Jay had their show doing. Zach was there. You went and got some BPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Nice little
Tony and
vibe.
Curtis hooked it up. It was awesome.
It was a good little time watching the Oilers game. Hernan tried his best to jinx the game as much as he could.
He was going hard at it.
I was confident. I knew Puck Colton on the top line would lead to success.
Well, he was our Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the game.
I heard that. I liked it. I
Yeah,
liked
of
it.
course.
Amazing.
Belsey was a big fan, obviously.
You got to get brownie points with the listeners, right? 'Cause
I
me and
agree,
Tommy took a lot of heat
Yeah, he snapped the 7-game pointless streak.
with
Phenomenal.
2 apples.
Took a lot of heat, and not just from the fans, but McDavid not happy with you boys.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
you guys messed up.
You.
Well, hey, I was on Team Bud Colson. You guys
God.
messed up.
You can't put it on him.
But at least we know McDavid listens to our shows. So
Clearly.
Yeah.
That's a good
important
news.
part.
That's the most
So,
important thing. So
yeah,
I'm
he
proud
took a
of
few
that.
jabs at the media, so
Whatever.
I don't say media. He took a jab at you guys.
Yeah,
The two
he
of you.
did mention
That
right
was- it was
about
just the
those
two of you.
things. So
he never defended Pugliarvi, though, which I find interesting.
Good point.
Let's not
Let's
go
deep
there.
dive into
Because they're the same
go
player,
there.
man.
Because all of a
Let's
sudden,
deep dive
Dusty's
into
going
it.
to drive all the way down to Commonwealth Stadium just to have it out with us.
Oh, boy.
For the fact that you're going to call out yes.
No, I'm not. I said
deep dive this.
McDavid never defended Jesse. I don't know why I'm calling him Yessi.
That's how you should say
Okay,
it.
Yes.
Jesse Pugliarvi. And I said it yesterday. Put Colson's Jesse Pugliarvi. They retrieve pucks. They make McDavid and Draisaitl better.
I'm glad you mentioned that point. That's so true.
I kid.
Oh, my God.
It's good that they elevated McDavid and Draisaitl to Pud Colson's line.
That's the thing. They got moved on to the Pud Colson line.
Right. He is the driver of that line. Did you watch and listen to what we were saying yesterday?
Yes, I was listening. I
Okay.
was watching. That's why when I came on the post-game show, I noticed how bright you two were. I had to come in and fix it. You guys wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, I noticed, but I didn't know how to fix it. So, Matty.
But now you
jumped
do.
in. Not really.
No, that was a setting that shouldn't be touched in Sens, and so I had
Who's
to go.
playing with that?
There was a reason why it was played with,
Okay.
but it messes with everything after. So,
Oh, okay.
and unless people are sitting there, I couldn't have fixed it. And then I threw you guys on my YouTube at home, and I was like, "Wow, that's really bright.
I had no idea.
That's way too bright."
I was glowing.
So I had to.
Were you?
text-
I don't know. I think so.
Oh, you both were glowing very
yeah.
well.
Just your natural
It's just my
effervescent
nat- my-
glow?
Yeah,
Or?
it's my natural glow.
Okay.
Well, I'll pull it up here so you guys can see
Okay.
it on the YouTube.
Okay.
Anyone that watched the post game show yesterday will have seen your.
No
guys'
one
glow.
complained,
I'm
though.
still laughing at the
No,
verbal
but
diarrhea that Hernan
It's just you
just
guys are
spit.
very white.
I know. Oh, yeah, that color's off for sure.
Yeah. And then when I went later, fixed the color.
Nice.
Oh,
Got it
you
more.
were
Color
one shade
correction.
away from Casper.
That's just a regular day for me, big boy.
It's like you haven't seen the sun in like a long time.
Well, I
She-
miss it.
Cheese says Hernan is the Pud Colson of the Hangout. He is elevating Tom and Maddie.
Wow. Hey, Cheese, how about you make yourself useful and bring us some coffees?
I saw cheese.
He's not doing anything.
Is Cheese here?
Yeah.
Oh, Cheese,
I'll say this.
Am I the Pud Colson of radio?
Actually,
I
yes.
hope not.
You are.
you're the guy that elevates guys?
So that means
I
the
retrieve
Elks
pucks.
and the Canucks.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
To cheese. I've long ago I texted you to be on the Hangout before the season, and we always had issues. If you're free for the Hangout, just shoot me a text.
Yeah, with some
over
coffees.
the course of the next few months, and we'll find a day.
Is he,
Well,
is he
he-
ghosting you guys?
Last year
No,
he did
he's
multiple times.
He doesn't
texter.
respond to Maddie for some
He
reason.
takes forever to respond to me.
Oh man.
One time I showed him yesterday. It was like a week. It's like, hey, you got time next week? Maybe like any day open. And it was like, he was like, I can't believe I missed this. I was like, well, I can.
You know what's great?
You never respond.
You know what's great is like I'll be doing a sidelines, Gabe, and he'll be like, I gotta get on the hangout. I'm like, don't you text with Maddie? Like, sure,
No.
I can. Yeah. So.
I text him and he doesn't respond.
Well, hey, I lived with the guy for a bit, so
Did you?
yeah.
Really?
And I don't hear from him anymore. I just want to
Jeez.
shake out my phone, see if they.
Yeah.
No, nothing came out.
Nothing
Oh,
from Cheese.
no.
So yeah,
Nothing
Cheese,
on
Cheese,
text.
couldn't ask- if you want to jump on the hangout
Come on,
anytime over
Cheesy.
the next few months, let me know. Let me know, and I will make it work. I don't need to have. I don't need to be let down
And
every
text
time I text him.
and text Belsy.
Yeah, no
text
kidding.
Bellsy.
Or
He's
as
your
many
roommate.
named him yesterday, Shawn Boom Boom Bell.
Boom, boom.
Boom
Hey,
boom.
boom.
I was told to raise my mic up from Lucas a bit.
There we
so,
go. Thank you, Lucas.
we'll see how that goes, and
Hi,
if that one
Lucas.
goes a little bit better. I don't know what's going on with the full. Today, everything I jinxed it.
Yeah, you did.
Earlier today, I was like, I've got this down. Like, I'm setting up a lot quicker than usual. And today, now, there's just like, I don't know, small little things that just aren't hitting as they should be. So I'm not happy right now. about all
Chelsea
that
Holt
That's what it is.
says, "You guys all match. It's giving corporate boy band vibes. Was this planned?" No.
We did talk about it last
dorks.
night.
Yeah,
Oh,
we do
boy.
got a. Yeah, well, it's press
Gosh,
conference
look at
day.
this.
It's press conference. I have a hunting shirt that I could wear. That I have to go to the Wild TV studios right after we finish up today, after Oil Stream.
We're here for press conference, so we all just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot my
Neutral
media
colors.
pass.
The
That
collar.
we're good. Collar, a
I
little
have-
bit collar.
Chelsea, I have my EST golf shirt. Thank you.
I usually wear mine.
Yeah.
Today I chose against it. So yeah, no, like we're being professionals for once.
Hey.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at over
Speak
there?
for yourself.
Is there anything to get to with the Oilers that you guys?
I thought it was interesting listening to Noodles with Lieutenant Eric and Comrade Will. I didn't know we called him that, but so be it. And Noodles was talking about how he thought that was a dud performance, lifeless performance for the Sens. And he kind of mentioned the Jekyll and Hyde tendencies of the Oilers. And he goes, well, Ottawa's the same way. They have that too. And really, credit to the Oilers for taking the game away relatively early. The turning point last night, I put it as the third goal of the first period for the Oilers to make it 3-1 on the power play. You described it as McDavid going downhill in the offensive zone. I like that description, and they simplified. And I thought that kind of put the game on ice for the Oilers. Like there were some opportunities for the Sens to close the gap, but Stuart Skinner held the fort. I thought he had a good bounce back game, but yeah, to me it was interesting hearing the Ottawa perspective of it and going, well, they didn't get the saves from Linus Ullmark, Vezina winner, by the way, and the offense, couldn't take advantage. And so it was kind of like what we were saying about the Oilers the night before in Montreal, but the Sens flipped the script, and it was them doing it, and the Oil being the sharper team. So that was kind of neat to get that perspective. And Noodles watches a ton of Oilers hockey too, so that stood out to me this morning, and it just shows you this league is super tight right now too.
Well, where did the Oilers
parity's
jump
right
to?
there.
They jumped to didn't they jump
Third,
third
top
in the
three.
Pacific?
Mm-hmm.
They were out of the playoffs going into yesterday, and then after yesterday, they're third in the Pacific.
Yeah.
No, they get one first.
Because
wild
Calgary
card spot.
won in
Oh, yeah,
shootout.
Calgary.
So
when we were watching
before
that.
Calgary played, I guess.
Yeah.
Then they were in the third
Briefly.
in the Pacific.
And Noodles saying Jekyll and Hyde, that's the issue. The Oilers shouldn't be that team right now.
Correct.
Now, Ottawa, you
Yeah.
expect that.
Yeah.
But the Oilers shouldn't be a Jekyll and Hyde team.
That's fair.
Yeah, like Ottawa should be a team that's on the cusp of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Oilers, well, we all talk about it. They're a team that has Stanley Cup aspirations, so there shouldn't be that Jekyll and Hyde. So I agree with you guys on that. Big time.
Yeah, bring Mike up a bit of a thing with that one.
There you go.
Closer to the mouth.
Right there.
We'll
We
see.
use these all the time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought I
He's
had
been
it.
up-
I thought I had it in the right spot.
You were a little quiet.
He's been up
I feel
since
like.
5.
So
He's a busy boy.
Yeah. Leave Belsy alone.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm not picking on you.
Why are you all over me today,
I'm
Tom?
not.
Guy just walks in, not even a hello, just
What is going on right
lift your mic. Or is that you?
I was just me.
Him.
But both of you guys are in the same boat right
This
now.
literally just happened. I literally looked at you and said, lift your mic up. That didn't come from Tommy at all.
Tommy was like, we use these all the time.
We do. We literally do. We'll be using them again this Saturday. Well, we got to talk to local, but we're going to be there this weekend. We're on
You're
location
just
all
bringing
over.
yourself to the spot.
They literally
we got to
told
talk
us.
to local, but we'll be there.
Hey, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
Today we're here, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow we're on location for pre and post game Hudson's White. Saturday, Hello Hockey, tentatively local Jasper Avenue, and then pre and post game Kelly's Pub on 104th Street. Like we're all over the place, so it's kind of neat.
I'm so curious about the Kelly's Pub one.
I had nothing to do with this.
They didn't.
I really didn't.
I'm just so curious how this is going to go.
Here's
it'll
how
be
it goes. Pre-game's fine. Post-game's fine. Afterwards, it's a mess.
He might be right.
Okay.
Might get a little.
You don't think
loud.
there'll be any beers had pre?
No, I stay. I
Wait,
don't.
well,
I don't do it
He's smart enough.
pregame.
Plus, there is an Oiler. It is a home game,
I have to be at the rink too.
so he'll
yeah.
head to the rink,
I'm not going there
So-
all banged up or anything.
and then he'll come back, and then the drinks will start flowing during the post,
But you can't
But
leave
he'll
the
get
stuff,
through it.
man.
Yeah, you can.
No, I'm kidding.
and then
I have the cover
afterwards,
And then afterwards, you'll turn it up.
because then DVD will stop by.
You know he will.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, easily. There might be then a few other media guys then that will stop by because you're already there, and then it will turn they will shut it down.
And Tommy will be doing the S-Walk home.
Stevie will come up at some point and be like, boys, you guys have to go because they'll be the last one
She'll
sitting
kick us
there.
out. Yes.
Will you go?
I hope you do.
I think maybe I'll have to come for a little bit.
Yeah.
Where
What
are you
if-
going?
What if he's doing the
Maybe after post.
stumble home? That'd be great.
You guys can,
You can just
walk
stumble home together.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have all
Watch
that
each
gear
other's
with me.
backs.
That's our neighborhood, man.
That's your hood.
Yeah. Should be fun. It's gonna be awesome. Seriously, like we're on location a ton now. It's great.
It's the homecoming of Tom Gazzola. That's what
It's the ultimate home game for Tom Gazzola.
When
The best
When
was
There's
Jason-
nothing like this. There's nothing. There's no more like the anticipation behind the on location is never going to be bigger.
This is going to be,
than
this
Tom
is gonna
Gazzola
be
at Kelly's
great.
Pub.
You're going to get the best work out of Tom.
when he announced it, he was doing the show from home, and Gager was over having a beer, and he says, we're going to be at Kelly's, and all he hears is this big laugh from Gager.
Yep, that did happen. Joaquin started laughing. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Come join us. Talking to Tony yesterday when I had to go pick up this banner from BP that I had left there by accident. My apologies. He's like, okay, we're ready to go for the 30th. So we have some great prizing available. And there was a putter. There was an Oilers jersey. There was a Oilers Heritage Classic hoodie, which I don't think Jack and Ken would know over at Pro-Am because they said that they had to order the Heritage Classic stuff last year beforehand, and they didn't know if it would sell, what it would look like. They had to kind of buy it blind, and it sold like hotcakes. So to have like a nice Heritage Classic hoodie available, which was provided by Molson, I believe, that's a rarity. Like those are hot items. And then they had a nice Team Canada one. So there was all kinds of stuff, and then they've given away hats, GCs, and all kinds of things. So it was good. And Tony was like, "Oh yeah, the boombox." The boombox, and then there
That
was
was a cooler?
and then there was
Vizzy.
a cooler with a speaker on it, like
The Vizzy one?
The Vizzy one. So there's going to be more of that coming your way if you come join us at Boston Pizza Westgate, and then Hudson's White Ave. Connor and the crew are great. Lots of GCs there, so come say hi. I'll buy you your first drink. And then Steve and Adam at Hudson's Bourbon. I think we're there on the 29th for the Utah game.
Some of the Nazis are asking, will you invite Stoff?
I always invite Stoff. He's always invited.
Will he show?
Oh, no. No, he has his own haunts that he likes to go to.
OJ's on the south side.
There's also on the 27th,
Local
we're at
downtown.
BP's Capilano for the oil stream.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Wow.
So Dusty,
Dusty will hopefully be back for that.
hopefully he's good to go.
Has he returned from his vacation in Boca Raton?
So he got lucky today, I guess, to a
His
degree.
backpacking adventure.
He
the
did
Grand
lock
Canyon?
shop yesterday. He did 2 guys yesterday,
Oh, yeah?
so he got through that.
Yeah, you sounded good.
He was supposed to do lock shop today as well as oil stream, but because of this and why we're here, I've canceled on him. So he will do a hit with me at 11:15 or so as we lead into the press conference of Ed Hervey. But he then has today off in a sense, and then tomorrow The grand return at 6 a.m.
What a life, eh? Is there going to be, a couple
Yes.
clicks for him? Yeah,
Sure.
that'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah.
Drops
What
an F-bomb
do you
yesterday.
click again? What's that? What's this? Like,
What's he doing?
What are you-
what are you doing?
He's doing
What
it
are you
normal.
Do you
doing?
not
If you're-
click
what-
normally?
No, but like he's got the fingers going. Like he's got like the finger guns going. Like,
Oh, he's
just Maddie, stop that.
Dusty's back.
It's going to be the greatest, it's the most anticipated return in the history of sports.
This is going to be big.
Yeah.
Like I think you got to go get a red carpet. You're gonna have to get music playing, like a entrance song.
And we should all be standing there when he walks in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like high five.
Like the Undertaker, like just
Yeah.
dong, and then just lights go out.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be
Here
awesome.
comes Return to Dusty.
Yeah.
You guys want to
Or
wake
maybe
up
like-
and be there
or
at
Return of-
5 in
or
the
Return
morning
of
for
the
this?
Mac.
Have
He's
at
up at 5. I'm not.
I will not be doing that.
Absolutely not.
I don't need to be up at 5 in the morning.
We did get a text asking if there's an update on Hyman.
What
Haven't
about
heard
Trev? He
anything.
could do it. Just as long as there's like entrance music and Dusty comes in late.
So-
Right? Like the show starts.
No, you want to know
the
something?
lights
Dusty's
go
going to
out.
be there relatively early tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, but you got to plan it properly.
No,
Yeah.
I know, but like I think Dusty's going to be like
He's going to be amped up.
amped up, ready to go. Although yesterday for the lock shop, he didn't log in until after like at 11. Trevor and I thought he'd log in at like 10:50 to be
Really?
ready to go, but he logged in a little late.
So I agree with Belzy. You know that graphic we have which shows all the shows, and then you go and like the intro plays, and
Yeah.
then it's just dark, and all you hear is the Undertaker's music.
Yeah.
The bell. And then when the music kicks in, you just put a light on Dusty.
Yeah. Maybe have like a little bit of like a,
I
like
hope
a
Trev's listening.
montage, like a
Yeah.
opening montage where it goes dark, the music starts playing, Dusty's hits,
Yep.
and then boom, lights come on. There he is.
Well, and then how about you have it's like dark screen in the studio, and then
Oh,
you
man,
eventually
this is gonna be
plug in the
great.
light, the studio lights, and then just when the music
Yeah.
hits, like you said, and then boom.
Trev,
send
you
me the
listening?
bill. You guys go get whatever you need. Bring the receipt to me. I'll get it covered.
we have a
with
smoke
with all the
machine?
best.
We need a
gotta get smoke
Whale and the
machine.
Wolf Boys have a smoke machine.
bring it.
Just get a
in.
couple guys that vape and just start blowing smoke.
We're gonna need VR Montenegro.
There's a few
It's
people that I
perfect.
know. Yeah, like I said, go set this all up, be ready to go, and bring me the receipts, and I'll get you expensed.
It has to
Done.
happen, though.
I
like,
agree.
this is too big of a
agree.
And
comeback.
then can we take the rest of the day off?
It's National Dustin Nielsen Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just does all the shows.
The mayor's going to come and award him the day.
Yeah.
It'll be the Dustin Nielsen Day in the city of Edmonton.
Yep.
November 21st, 2024 will forever be the Dustin Nielsen Day.
I'm excited for
We'll
this day.
remember it.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. I might have to get up for...
I'm still
start the
just, I
show.
just hope it happens. Until he's there, until he's speaking, I am going to be just cautiously optimistic that he will be there.
So, Will, keep your phone on.
I haven't. The good news is I didn't hear anything else from Dusty yesterday. Like, I don't know if I could do this. And now he's not really on air today, so like, there's no chance to.
Oh, he's carb loading.
He has to be on.
mentally preparing himself.
Chicken
He's
and
going
pasta.
to war. Man, you know how like animated tomorrow's Tales of the North is going to be?
Oh, he can't do Tales of the North tomorrow.
Man,
Not there yet.
I don't think he should.
I think
will
he's
say
gotta
this.
come out and he's got to like slay. He's got to cut things down.
He's gonna cough so much if he has to do Tales of the North.
He's gonna read it.
That's
like a
gonna be the full
poet
setback. He's gonna
laureate.
come back and do Tales of the North and
Yeah.
then be gone for another 26 days.
That's okay as long as he puts everything that he has into it.
Get well soon. We want you to
He's out
get
for another
well.
month.
The full setback.
Like what a comeback! And then he's gone.
The full setback. Will, we need you again for another month.
Well, it's the LT show now, so
Yeah,
He's
you were
been
saying
calling
they
it that.
waxed their eyebrows today.
They did. Last week was that nose hair thing, which
Which
you
was-
participated.
which was not
it was
bad.
gross, and Will's like going and putting it up to people.
Yeah, that part's gross.
Yeah.
That part's a little gross, won't lie.
I did
But
not
it is
know that.
actually nice to clean up in there a little bit. It wasn't that bad.
Don't
I'd
you
like to
use
try it
a
again.
trimmer?
up in your nose.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd like to give it a try again, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Take some time. Have you waxed your nose?
I've never waxed my
Yeah,
nose.
no, it's like, I say everyone should try it once.
I've never done it.
And we could do it next hangout.
I'm not a super hairy guy, so
So then you have nothing to worry about.
I agree.
So then we could all do it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of a you thing. Because you need a backscape. You needed that backscape.
Actually, back's not that bad. No. Far from it.
Shoulders.
Straight up.
Shoulders.
A little bit of the shoulders. It's
Yeah.
the legs and the arms.
Legs.
This is where the hair
Yeah,
is.
you are wearing like fleece pants under your jeans.
It's always warm. It's always warm.
like
Somebody did say,
built-in
though,
long johns.
they did ask to say that Bellsy needs a show of his own. It's called Hello Hockey.
Thank you.
10 to noon on Saturdays. Just throwing that out there. 10 to noon on Saturdays, right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Or if you're in the Calgary region, 960. Vancouver region, 650.
That's right. It's
on the
syndicated.
AM dial. So there you go. So he does have his own show. And he's also on every Wednesday on the Hangout.
That's right.
That I am.
And he fills in for pre and post
Yeah.
when Cass is away. Cass is a busy boy this month.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but that's okay. We've got a good stable of analysts and former Oilers. And, well, Cass was not an Oiler, but we're lucky. That was good yesterday. We had too much fun on the pre and post game show.
We did actually.
But it was like for good reason. 5 o'clock
There
start.
was good conversation.
Good conversation. People were fired up. They were mad about the last 2 games. The boys were playing crib in the studio and the bullpen.
Yeah, Jake skunked me in the first ever game in EST. I just got really good hands late and skunked me, and then Reed played against me, and he almost beat me. Like, he came right down to the final counts, and then I just beat him.
All right. And now Trev was talking about playing. And
Yeah, because Trev says he's a player, so I can't wait. Maybe tomorrow Trev and I could play a game. Maybe I could sit
forward
down and
to
play a
not
game of
paying
crib.
attention to that at all.
It's a lot. It's fun. Have you played crib?
No.
You?
No. I want to, though.
I'll teach you. We taught Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When my grandma
It's-
wanted to
Reed
hang
was
out with
getting
me,
it.
I went outside and played ball hockey.
You know what?
Street hockey.
When I am ready to play with a bunch of old people, then I need to know. So you let me know. Like, I'm ready.
You want to know something?
So I'm gonna go like to the old folks' home.
Knock it
dust
all you
a bunch of
want.
people.
Knock it all you want.
Play for some money.
It's a wonderful
Play
game.
for some
Pass
money.
the time. Good conversation.
Actually, I have
game.
heard it's fun.
It's a good
All joking
conversation
aside,
game.
I've actually heard it's
Like,
fun.
you just have a nice conversation during the play.
Yeah.
Reed already claiming that he's going to win the Crib Rookie of the Year.
Wow.
Reed was on fire yesterday.
Maybe the Estes we're going to need to
Reed's
have
played
Crib
lots,
player.
so
of the
how
year.
can he be Rookie of the Year if you
No,
played a
not
lot?
Crib. Not Crib.
Oh.
He just, like,
This-
he's never played.
Yesterday, I don't know. Reed, have you ever played before? I think he's seen it, but I don't think he's ever fully played. But like, he'd put his cards down, and Jay and I would help him count it and show him how to count that all.
Nice.
And then he almost beat me.
Well,
That's
I
how
bet
the
you
fun
know
of
what?
Crib.
Reed to me seems like he knows what he's doing, and he just like reeled you in, and so he just gave you a little bit of life.
but he lost.
Remember
got
like that
hustled.
Fresh Prince episode
Yes.
where like they go to the pool hall,
What was the
and then
Uncle Phil?
Uncle
Phil
Phil.
comes to the rescue. But the first couple games, he's like he threw
Yeah.
him, and then all of a sudden he's like, Jeffrey, break out Lucille.
Lucille, yeah,
that's what
yeah.
Reed feel like. That's the vibe I get from him. Like he just threw that game so that you were like, yeah, I won, but he almost beat me. And then one day he's just going to come in and he's going to smoke you.
Yeah, but this isn't a game that would be like you
gonna
could do
kick
that.
the
in.
doors off
I
you,
don't
Matty.
think you could do that with Crib at all.
Oh, okay.
I beat Maddie twice at 21, 5-0.
Reed beat me in
Nice.
Crib 21-2. Reed's got a good underhand.
Yeah, he does.
He goes to he like hit like 3 in a row underhand from the line.
Yeah.
What are you shaking your head for?
Nothing. We have a good time at our studios.
Yeah, we still need the Tecmo machine.
I know you were talking
Oh,
about it
man.
yesterday.
What's the hold up there? Like, what are we waiting for?
Well, we need to get a Tecmo machine.
I know, but
I
what's
thought
the
we had
hold
one
up?
in line?
Well, it costs money.
But it's in the budget.
Who says it's in the budget?
Dusty
He did,
said.
and Dusty.
When did Dusty
And
say it
you
was in the
did.
budget? I've never said it's in the budget.
You're like,
Well-
we have the budget to get a multiple Tecmo machines.
I was actually looking at how to build my own.
What? Let's just get one, please. Because if we wait for you to build, it's gonna be another year.
No, I was
unbelievable.
because it'd be a fun project. I was getting like looking at joysticks and buttons and recreating what we had at 1260. That's what I wanted to
We
recreate.
can get the same machine we had at 1260.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can.
Where?
What happened
We go
to that
through the
one?
same guy. Uke has his info.
I know who it is.
What happened to that one?
They took it back. We also destroyed it. Uke and I took it on the hen day when we went to Eric Stagg, and like parts of it broke off and stuff.
Okay.
Because we played some Tecmo at Eric Stagg. I beat Uke every game in that week. It was great.
Nice work,
But we
man.
need
Thank you.
one.
Yeah. So we'll have crib. We have basketball game. You started playing Super Mario 3.
Yes. I can't get through level 4. That's my next.
I think
There's
Rip City. EST needs to learn backgammon with Fergie's prostate. Is Fergie bringing that to? I haven't asked Eric if he's bringing that to.
How old?
Century
You're
Casino.
you're same age as me.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
Mid 40.
I'm not the oldest one here. Knock that off, Smitty the welder.
I'm the oldest by far.
Me and Tom are the same age.
Well, he just
Yeah.
said you're definitely crib age.
That's a pun.
Cribbage.
That's a pun.
Oh, man.
Don't just smile at me.
That's not me. That was him.
Oh, man.
We'll one day do a full streamed EST cribbage game
boy.
on our YouTube channel. Jay and I will sit down. We'll put a nice camera over the board, and then you can watch us play. Nice little counter on the screen.
awful.
It's gonna be great. We'll have the whole games channel of EST. Well, we should stream 21,
We should.
or should film some of that and put that up as videos.
Yeah.
We might have to.
I'd get on
We've
that
got
one,
extra
yeah.
cameras.
I'd like to see. I'd
easily
like to
set
see a
up
little
record
one-on-one.
of that.
We'll have to use
Like a
when
little
I'm-
one-on-one b-ball.
when I'm playing because I'm by far the best at 21. Undefeated.
I will throw this out there to everyone at the EST studios.
I wanna
We
see
will
you
be
dunk
filming
on
some of
Matty,
these
though.
21 games. No one dunks on me. I stuffed Hernan yesterday.
Yeah, but
He did. It was
you
hilarious,
Really?
actually.
That's awesome.
He went for it, and I ran because I just do it randomly, and I'll just come and block the ball, or I just block shots as they're coming.
I did the Jordan. I was dunking from the foul line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got stuffed.
You got stuffed on you? Okay,
It's right next to my office,
that's fair.
so I just stand there, watch it, and every so often I come in and just play. Nope.
He did do that. I had laughed at that. It was funny stuff. Reed.
I also sparred with Coob.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because he's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's very chatty yesterday.
And we were just sparring, but I got him with a kick. Like if it was real life,
You got this guy.
I would have won.
Okay.
I got 2 texts from Dusty.
What did he say?
Does anyone do work at the office anymore? And I did not say it's in the budget.
No, I know. I just made that up.
So
I just want a tackle machine.
we might have some conversations with the big boss when he comes back.
We've lost control at the.
Actually, we've done a good job of balancing everything very
Thinking
well.
about that yesterday.
The work happens, and look, a lot of people. There's been a lot of fill-in stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. There's been a lot of extra fill-ins. So
Yeah, because the 21 it's
Well, you
when
guys
people
changed
have
the rules.
time. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's like when we play Tecmo.
Well, Reed and Jay changed the rules.
Well, but they so then in Game of 21, if you miss, you go back to 0.
Like if you're
Like
at
on 20,
Oh, yes.
they got rid of that rule, and it's like you lose a couple points. So the game can't go for 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
They
if
go
you're
really
at 20, because if you shoot from the foul line, it's 2, right? So
Yeah.
you would start over. So they created a 3-point shot that will count only as 1 for that shot when you're
Okay.
at 20. Does that make sense? Yeah.
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 I get it.
Portions of this hour of the EST Hangout, they are brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, thehiveproductmarketing.com. We don't have everything yet for the Nasty Club, but things have started to arrive, so we're getting closer to being able to build out those membership bundles and get them to everyone. If you are an annual member and you haven't selected for pickup or to paid for shipping, please do so. Jump into the Nasty Club and go to bonus offers, and in there, select what you want, whether their shipping or pickup if it's shipping, and then you will have to pay. Want to get that sorted out. So then, as we close out this month, hopefully I'll get everything soon. There's one. We need 4 things. 2 are in. 1's shipped. I'm waiting for the other one to be shipped and then come. And then I could send that all out. All that is thanks to the Hive Product Marketing. Matt Iwanyk, Hernan Salas, Tom Gazzola, Shawn Belle with you. We're live at Commonwealth Stadium as Ed Hervey will be introduced to the Edmonton media in the city of Edmonton once again as the general manager of the Edmonton Elks. We will have full coverage of that press conference. 11:30 right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. So no lock shop today, no oil stream. Instead, from 11 until 1, we will have full Edmonton Elks coverage for you. And we will qualify someone for the EST flyaway to LA. So once that happens, I'll just have to step out to make a call, and then we'll bring them on the air.
Lovely.
And then we'll do that all from here today.
Na 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 na. There you go. There's some news coming in.
From Farhan Lalji, the BC Lions have relieved Rick Campbell of his coaching duties. He had 1 more year in his contract. He will now be the front runner for the Elks head coaching job. As expected, BC has also promoted Ryan Rigmaiden to GM and Neil McAvoy to VP of football operations.
Craziness.
Let the rumors fly.
Yep.
Interesting that it's that they relieved him of his duties. So that must have been pre-announced. Like, if it was him coming to the Edmonton job, like they wanted a separation, you could have done mutually walked away.
Ways, yeah.
But here it was, okay, so clearly BC after the failure of the season for the Lions.
It was.
That's what that was. They were home, Grey Cup. They had VA, brought in Nathan Rourke, and ultimately failed because they didn't even get to a West final.
9-9 was good.
But
So he was let go. He wasn't. It's not a mutually partner. The wording, I think, is very important.
It's interesting because how much do you put? Sounds like there's a disconnect in the room between VA and Rourke, between the players. No, I don't have.
Okay.
Like, it sounds like it. There's rumors swirling about that. But how much can you put how the quarterbacks were handled on the head coach when I guess
He's co-GM.
He's co-GM.
So the question is, when it comes to the Nathan Rourke, did he bring in Nathan Rourke or did Amar Doman bring
That's
in
what I
Nathan
mean.
Rourke?
Like-
That's the question we don't know. If ownership came in and said, no, we're bringing in Rourke, you have to figure this out. There's only so much he could do there.
Yeah.
But if he went out there and be like, no, we're going to get this done, then that's on him for how this, because VA was loved in that locker room.
Yes.
You could tell that he was a leader there.
He was
and
loved.
they rattled the locker room mid-season.
But that's why I just, and we don't know unless we talk to someone in there and tells us, but I just feel like it wasn't Ray Campbell's call to bring in Rourke. He dealt with it the best he could. Mm-hmm. I think because this could be a case where the owner said, Rourke's coming, you're going to play him. And he came in at a time when VA was hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then I think Ray Campbell maybe fell out of favor a bit when he made the call late in the season and in the playoffs to go, we're going with VA. Right, and we don't know. These are all assumptions, right? But it just, for
That's
me,
fair.
it's weird that he. I'd like to know who made the call on the Rourke.
I would assume it'd be a lot of the owner is doing because you wanna sell this team, right? That's a big part of what's going on in BC and the resurgence.
Yeah, but the problem is that VA, yes, he was hurt, but he had the love of the locker room, like Matty said, and when he was playing, he was lights out.
He was MOP.
Yeah. And so
before
then
he
all
got
of a sudden
hurt.
you bring Rourke in, and you can sit there and say Rourke, at the time he left, was a better quarterback.
Oh yeah.
But then he didn't play for 2 years.
Yep.
So bringing him in, and then all of a sudden, like, it's mid-season, nobody knows who this guy is. They don't trust him because he's obviously got to come in and earn it. Put the BC Lions behind the 8 ball. Because if you would have stuck with VA, maybe there's a different outcome. Maybe. Mm-hmm. But I think Rourke was just so rusty that he couldn't then put like his best foot forward.
I think that's fair, but
Like what's
the timing sucked for BC.
Was
Yeah, it
Rick
did.
kind of forced to stick with him once VA got healthy?
See, that I don't know. Like
Yeah.
Vernon Adams gets hurt. You have to play Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke's rusty, like Belzy said, and he has acclimatized himself to playing in an NFL style of game. And you could tell, like, even the way he was reading plays in his first couple of games, you're like, I don't think he's in sync with his
Yeah,
receivers.
not at all.
And
But it takes a little bit of rapport to be able to, get in sync with your
yeah, and
receivers.
he had a few moments this season where it was like, oh, there he is. There's the old Nathan Rourke. But then, yeah, you got Vernon Adams. He gets healthy, and he's just sitting there. Guys want Adams. I don't know, man. It was too much. I don't know if it's a good way to describe it as too much of a good thing, having two excellent quarterbacks, although one of them still finding his groove back at the CFL level. Or, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to feel bad for the BC Lions for having too much of a good thing.
I'm a little surprised they're moving on from him because he's a good coach. They haven't made it to the big game or won it, but I mean, careful what you wish for, right? Like it's not always the best move to move on from a guy like Rick Campbell. I think he's a phenomenal coach. The way he carries himself.
He's a solid coach. There are the question marks with Rick Campbell. There's no question. Like, the good is in Ottawa, I want to say 3 Grey Cup appearances.
And a win.
With a win in there. Because he lost here in Edmonton to Calgary. I think he lost to Calgary another time. And he beat Calgary once, and then they lost to Edmonton in 15. I think 3 Grey Cup appearances.
Yeah.
But the East wasn't the strongest. But we also saw what happened when he left Ottawa, that they fell off the map for a number of years.
Yeah.
Until this year where they kind of came back a little bit. BC, there was a lot of hype, there was a lot of hope, and it just never worked fully out there. Now, there were, I will say, a couple of years ago, Nathan Rourke, when his big year happened, he got hurt. That was a big issue, and that hurt them, because they were rolling. They were one of the top teams. But this year, this was a disappointing season. And again, I don't know where the QB decision came from, but you still had two really good quarterbacks, and you couldn't get it fully figured. But there's a good coach there. Now, what is he going to be here in Edmonton? Because he'll be the Edmonton head coach. That's
Well, let's not kid ourselves.
This is, even last week, it's Grey Cup week. They didn't want to make any announcement. BC made this decision. It was their Grey Cup, though, so they couldn't announce it.
Right.
So this is all done. We know Ed's going to be asked about it in a few hours. He'll be non-committal. He won't say anything yet. And then next week we'll be back here in this office or one of the other offices talking about, hey, Rick Campbell's press conference is happening. We're introducing Rick Campbell here to the Edmonton market. It just, I guess him coming here is also, though, I will say, a bit of an interesting one because it seemed like he didn't, when he went to BC, that there was the rumblings he didn't want to come to Edmonton. He wanted to stay away from Edmonton. This is where his dad was and wanted. I don't know if that was just he didn't like certain people here, continue to be on his own. But then to come here, it's a fascinating one because he had been here as coach before, but not as a head coach.
Yep.
And now, for the first time, he becomes the head coach.
Let's not kid ourselves. The circumstances have changed substantially.
Yep.
This is an environment where he's probably going to be quite comfortable with the people that are in place now. Mm-hmm. The willingness to change the culture here, I think, it's probably a situation that's ideal for him to be a part of the fabric of that culture. So, yeah, it's changed a lot, and it seems like, talking to some people, that this organization with new ownership is really trying to reshift the focus and get ducks back in a row.
I'm intrigued who's going to be the guy in BC now. Also, what does this mean for Jordan Maksimic, Ryan Phillips? Because you're bringing in a new coach. He's going to want to bring in his own staff.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And those are two quality coordinators. Maksimic's one of the best OCs in the league. Ryan Phillips is one of the best up-and-coming DCs in the league. So I'm intrigued to see who's going to take the...
Buck Pierce is the rumored name.
Buck Pierce?
Buck Pierce is the rumored name to go to BC, which means you don't need Jordan Maksimic.
No.
Because you got Buck Pierce there, which means Jet Maksimic might follow Rick Campbell here. So now
he was here before, was he not?
He was here before. So now the question is...
Don't get me excited, Maddie.
Well, no, with Rick Campbell, with Jordan Maksimic, with Ed Hervey, what do they want out of a quarterback? Does Trey fit into that type of quarterbacking of what they want to see? What's the relationship with VA? Although I think the Calgary is still the front runners. Well, where do they go here? Because what fits into the Rick Campbell, Jordan Maksimic model for what they want out of a quarterback?
Well, go ahead.
Mike Arcuri, who's the communications manager with the Elks, he wrote an article with Ed Hervey. He sat down with him, and Ed Hervey said one of the top things he wants to do is sit down with Trey Ford and have a conversation with him. And I think that's a very positive sign. I think
there's two ways to look at that.
Sure.
I'll play devil's advocate here quickly. Sorry, but it's a positive sign because he brings up Trey Ford, interested in Trey Ford, or he knows the fans want Trey Ford, wants to placate to the fans, and just throws out Trey Ford and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna speak to him. Don't you worry."
But I just look at what Chris Morris said when he was introduced, and he said enough, or when he was on the Reed Wilkins show. Enough with the 1 year stuff. We need to build something that's long term.
I appreciate that.
I look at Trey Ford, and I think he's gonna continue to have a lot of ups and a few downs. He's a young quarterback, and that's okay, guys. We've seen VA struggle. We've seen Trevor Harris struggle. We've seen Zach Collaro struggle. You need a staff here that's going to let him go through those and not sit him or bench him every time he has a bad game. The other thing for me is Trey Ford, you can get him on a team-friendly deal because he's still fairly young, and then you can build around him. You can fill holes that the team needs instead of going out again and doing what you did last year was pay $500,000 or $6,000 for an older quarterback, which is not a long-term process, right? No. So for me, at least in my opinion, it has to be Trey Ford with a veteran quarterback behind him. Well, you brought up a great name,
Jeremiah Mazzoli.
Yeah,
free agent from Ottawa.
A guy who doesn't need to be a starter.
He's not getting a starter job,
and he's okay with that. But he's there to help Trey, and when they need him to go in, he'll go in and play well.
Well, there's a risk to Trey being your starter where he might not play for multiple reasons.
He's got to start sliding.
He might get hurt, or there's the fact that maybe things don't go well.
Yeah.
So in Edmonton, to be a backup, there is a potential. There's an opening to be the starter.
Yes.
To take over as the starting job. That if you are Jeremiah Mazzoli, where else are you going to go that necessarily is going to give you that chance?
Because everybody keeps bringing up the Montreal, what's his name?
Davis Alexander.
Davis. But I always say be cautious, guys, because we've seen this in the CFL. He was on a very good team with a very good play caller and a very good offense.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen that in the CFL a lot. A guy kind of product of the system.
Casey Printers.
And then he goes elsewhere and it doesn't work out. I'm not saying that's the case, but it could be. So, go get a guy that's from a really good system or keep building with the guy that not only is exciting and shows that he can play, but that the fans absolutely love. Like after Connor McDavid and a handful of Oilers, Trey Ford's the biggest Edmonton athlete here. He is.
Yeah.
In terms of being talked about,
Yes.
he'd be up there. Connor, Leon,
Hyman,
Nuge.
Skinner.
There's a few, actually.
Puck
Oilers.
Olsen.
Let's not kid
Is
ourselves.
the criteria you have to be in the city while you're playing? Because I would argue Alphonso Davies would be way up there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think there's more. I think
Chuba Hubbard
would be
here's the
way
thing.
up
I
there.
think there's a lot of people that don't know what's going on with Alphonso Davies.
Yeah, but he's.
But
such
more
a big-
people know what's
he's
going on
such
with
a-
Trey Ford.
No, he's such a big name that people know what they just know his.
Do you
But they're not.
think they
But they're not talking about
recognize
it or
him?
know what he's. Like if I said
they're not
right
talking-
now,
they're not saying, hey,
who's
he's
in where who's he playing for right now, and where's he going to play for next year?
half the people would have no idea.
And that's where to the conversation, like of the discussion, I'd almost put him in terms of top of mind. Trey might be higher than Alphonso.
Yeah.
Alfonso's
fair
the bigger
enough.
star.
Fair enough.
I'm not
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to compare
fair
that at all. Alfonso is
He's a global star.
He's probably the biggest star of from Canadian athletes in general.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's bigger than Connor McDavid globally.
Yes.
Yep.
But in Edmonton, I think there's a lot of people that know his name but don't know what's going on with Alfonso.
That's
Davies.
fair.
I have
That's
a
fair point.
hypothetical. Say you're downtown Edmonton and you're at the farmer's market on a Saturday. It's a beautiful day. People are out there with their families. And you're like, hey, those guys look like football players. I know that guy. That's Trey Ford. And he happens to be walking beside Chuba Hubbard, just for whatever reason. People here would know Trey Ford. Very few would recognize Chuba Hubbard, who just signed a nice contract.
That's
I don't think
very
there's a lot of
fair.
people that would know Trey Ford. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of people that know Trey Ford by face.
I think there would be
I think-
more
okay,
in,
I
that,
just quickly-
in that instance.
Reed Wilkins in the Nasty Chat, I think, puts this in a great way. Ford is one of the most talked about Edmonton-based athletes, but is he one of the biggest question marks?
Sure.
And I think one of the most talked about. Absolutely.
That just makes him the
biggest though, but he's
biggest.
not.
He's not
Yeah,
the
he's-
biggest, but when you compare him to the NHL guys, the Oiler guys, like obviously
competition.
There's no competition, no matter how great. Like Mike Riley wasn't even like.
Well,
no, but like-
speaking of Reed, there was a time where I remember at Rexall Place, the Oilers were so bad, and he's like, and this was before McDavid. He goes, in this city right now, who do you think the number 2 athlete is? And I'm like, well, who's number 1? He goes, Taylor Hall. I'm like, okay. And he goes, I would make a case for Mike Riley right now.
Sure.
And that's like 2014-15, right before McDavid came to the Oilers.
But I feel like Trey Ford. I'm not saying he's going to be Mike Riley because Mike Riley was great. But Trey,
could be.
There could be. But I feel like Trey Ford, the way we talk about him is the same way. Like that's how big we think he could be.
I will. I
Because
just,
when Mike Riley came here, it was the
He was
backup from
unproven.
BC came.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
well, and I gotta say, there's a lot of. I keep hearing this knock on Trey Ford, and where like he's not a legitimate proven starter. He's not a legitimate proven starter. Like, and there's this like people like he's not a guarantee. That was never said when Mike Riley was being traded for. Coming to Edmonton, everyone was pumped about him.
Yeah.
Across the media, everyone was like, "This guy's great. Like, this is a good move by Ed Hervey." And yet, for Trey, it doesn't go the same way.
Because he's Canadian. Let's be honest.
Like with Mike Riley, like that was not a thing that came up as a knock from him from this city in
That's-
terms of, like it was.
Justin Dunk said it on our show. He said he was sick and tired of people dogging on Trey. He said if he was American, we'd have no issues with him
no
right
issue.
now.
I agree. Like
no issues.
because he
Yeah.
was Canadian, he got more attention early
Yes.
than he should have.
Yes, fair
straight
enough.
up. He was more talked about as a Canadian quarterback because he was Canadian.
Yeah.
But based on what we have seen on the football field, if I played a tape for you, anyone of that some scouts of that player and said this guy could be your quarterback, would you take him? I think more scouts would say yes if they knew he was American.
If you said he was from Montana instead of Alberta.
This is
Ontario,
North Dakota State product. This is from San Diego State University. What do you
Not
think of this
Ontario.
quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give him a shot. Let's bring him up. Absolutely. But the fact that he's Canadian now is a knock on him. But I will say when he first came into the league, he got more attention than he deserved because he was Canadian.
And let's keep in mind that he didn't want it either. Like, he's not asking for this. He's not, because
I believe that
every
100%.
time they interview him, he goes, I'm just a quarterback. Like,
Yes.
stop saying if I'm Canadian or American or whatever. I'm a quarterback, and that's all I want to be known for. I don't, stop bringing up where I'm from.
And I get that because he's trying to establish himself and
Yeah.
he wants to take that next step. At some point, when the opportunity arises, when he steps into that superstar status in the CFL, he's going to have to take on that Canadian mantle and be the
Him
face
and
of-
Rourke.
Yes,
Yeah.
they will be, and they'll have to be a part of the next wave. And we're seeing a lot of great Canadian players in talent positions starting to emerge, not only in the CFL but in the NFL a little bit now.
100%. But Trey Ford, if you look at the games he played this year, he might have the Winnipeg game, throw out the window. That was a bad game.
That was bad.
He probably had 2 bad quarters. The third quarters for the Elks in general, no matter who's at quarterback, they struggled. But Trey Ford was excellent. He was good in Sask. He was good in Calgary. The last game here, the 2 plays he made to take the lead late, 2 long bombs. Like, you can't tell me this guy's not a quarterback. Like, a bad quarterback doesn't make those throws.
No. That was wild. I had to go from that
You're
sideline
live.
to that sideline to talk to Argo's PR to be like, okay, well, we need this guy if they win. Then I had to go back to the Elks sideline and be like, hey, Mike, just a heads up, I might need so-and-so. Then back over to the Argos sideline, and then I watched overtime from there and watched the Elks win on a damn Rouge, Belsey.
We're not doing that today.
We're not doing that today. But
Do we need to go survey the office here?
I literally went from there to there, to there, to there, watch the final. The Rouge kicked through this end zone closest to us. And I'm talking to the truck, and they're like, oh, my God, Tom, just figure it out. I'm like, okay, well, the Elks won on a Rouge, so I had to run over to the Elks. Mike, I'm right here.
If you look at the Trey Ford conversation, is this a fair comparison? He's like an Evan Bouchard? Because he has the tools to be so good, but there's something that's kind of holding him back because –
But it's not his tool. It's just like he
can throw,
not
he can
getting
run.
an opportunity.
He can
Bouchard
read
plays 20
plays. He
minutes a
does really good stuff, but at the same time, like we kind of go back to this Pud Colson conversation yesterday.
Well, he's
there's
just
something the
star of
coach
the game.
is seeing that's not allowing him to play. But he has all the tools in the toolbox. So what is it? What is that one little thing that's causing him not to play and to become that
There's national
superstar?
next to his name.
Is
Not
that what it is?
international or whatever.
And the reason I bring up
American,
Bouchard is because on the defensive end, Bouchard is questionable. But on the offensive end, he's an elite player. And everybody's like, man, that guy deserves more because of the fact that he's so good offensively. But they forget about his deficiencies.
Well,
So
okay.
if you took that into a football perspective, well, you don't play defense in football. You sit on the bench. And
Let's look at his
right?
tools. Does he read a defense well?
I think he does.
Okay.
Can he improve? Of course.
He's a 26-year-old, so if I think for a guy that's played as much as he has, yeah.
Does he have good arm strength?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say so because he would flick passes that were darts,
Yeah.
whereas McLeod Bethel Thompson would have to go back all the way, wind up, fire one, and it would come up 5 yards short. He's got great legs. We
Yes.
know that. He can scramble. Now,
Pocket presence needs to be improved. He developed
That's
it more
the one.
this year.
yeah.
I think from what we saw in 2023 to 2024, there was an improvement. But like the game when they lost to
talked
Winnipeg,
about that.
his pocket presence was gone. He lost. He was going. His old line was giving him the hole or the space, and he left it, and it got him into trouble. That's the biggest thing that he needs to still work on and grow on. That's a big one though.
So is that so
and
is
then
that
the
what
sliding. But
Is that what the coach is now looking at and saying, hey, like, I need to switch this up, and I have to go to MBT. I have to bring in MBT. Like, what are the reasons that he's not playing? Because the eye test will tell you that this guy's got all the tools in the toolbox. And so
Could it be
something's there.
Could it be analytics? I mean, I know the staff here was big on analytics and what you did in practice and your completion percentage.
So
in
is it as
practice.
simple as
So-
in practice that maybe he's not the guy that goes out and he's, executing all the time in practice, and then all of a sudden the coaches are like, hold up, he's not executing here, so how can he execute in a game? Is it as simple as that? But that's the thing, is where it's like there's something there that we don't see, because once again, the eye test says that this guy has every single tool that's known for a good elite quarterback, and yet we're at a point now where we still are having the conversation saying we got to see like what he can actually do for a full season.
Well, because that might be the reason why everyone's gone. It might be the reason why Chris Morris is going with Ed Hervey and not going, G-Roy, we got to stick with you.
Yep.
It might be the reason why Jarius Jackson is no longer the head coach. It's the reason why Chris Jones is no longer here. They got it wrong.
Yeah.
They've got this wrong. And now, because there's nothing we have seen from Trey Ford that now he doesn't deserve a shot at being a number one quarterback in the Canadian Football League. That's the one thing I will say, just across the league. He deserves a shot to be the number one quarterback.
Well, I don't disagree.
And to do that, you need to now, though, play. And it's just people don't want to give that shot as of yet. And I think part of it actually goes to, because this is just the thing in the Canadian Football League, it's the Canadian part of it. They don't want to go with the Canadian quarterback. And they think Americans are better, so they're going to go try to get an American quarterback.
And you have to live with his mistakes. He's going to have some, and he's going to have bad games in an 18-game season.
As a 26-year-old, 25-year-old.
As a 26-year-old. So go through the NFL, the CFL, a lot of great quarterbacks, good quarterbacks, struggle from game to game, and they don't get benched. It seems like every time Trey Ford had a bad game, it was like, well, we got to go with the other guy now. Not all the time, because last year he got the last 10 games. He did. And he struggled in the last 4 of that mightily. And I think maybe that's why the staff that was previously here said, let's go out and get a veteran for 1 year and see if we can kind of
save their jobs, but it costs them their jobs.
Because at the end of the day, I'm a fan of him.
Yeah.
And I think that he is the answer, but at the same time, I sit back and I'm just like, okay, something's not adding up.
Yeah.
Because if he's this good, then every coach should be like, no, this is his opportunity to do it. Because you look down in the States, right? And whatever team you want it, Lamar Jackson, he comes in his first year. He wasn't sitting behind anybody. They weren't saying, well, maybe he's not executing.
He was sitting behind Flacco for year one.
I guess for year one, he sat there.
And
but then after that,
Flacco
it was
got
the
hurt
reins.
Or got put in.
He got the keys to the kingdom, and it was go. Tua, keys to the kingdom after he sat through 1 year, essentially, of Fitzgerald, keys to the kingdom, go. Who else do you want to put in that conversation? Herbert, keys to the kingdom, go. And so my point is that here, Trey's already sat 1 year behind a guy. Two now. But if you think after that 1 year that you have something there, give him the keys to the kingdom to figure out if he actually is that guy. And if you don't have if he isn't that guy, now you turn around and you say, okay, now we got to pivot. Now we got to figure something out. But it's just this, it's almost like, here's a little bit. Yeah, never mind, just kidding. Mm-hmm. Here's a little bit. Never mind, just kidding.
And this is why 2024 was a wasted season by this franchise. Yeah. This is why I get mad at Chris Jones, and I'll get mad at, and it's the whole, G-Roy's part of this, Jarius is part of this, I get mad at all of them. Because we should have been able to sit here and say definitively right now, is Trey Ford a starting quarterback, a legit starting quarterback in the Canadian Football League or not? And not one of us can. I think he could be, but I can't be definitive in that. I can't actually go to a lot and be like, yeah, no, 100% he is. Yep. I have to admit, outside of the Saskatchewan game this year, where he took on a good Saskatchewan defense, although a little bit of injuries, he hasn't done well in the bigger games. He's done well against the average to below average teams. Now, that's a fine quarterback then in the Canadian Football League, but if you want to go win a Grey Cup, you got to beat good teams. Yep. We haven't seen that yet. We should have, but if he had the whole season, we could have seen him develop and then could have had that definitive answer. But we're sitting here today saying we still don't know. And now a new regime has to come in, and they don't know Trey. Ed doesn't know Trey at all. Yeah. He didn't draft him. He wasn't around him in training camp. So now he's also got to, though, he's got to win because the job that his boss and Chris Morris is we got to start winning football games.
Yeah, the only
and so now, but it's so now you got to figure out, is that Trey you go take that with, or do you go for one of the, there's names out there.
Yep.
There's VA. I like Davis Alexander. There's Cody Fajardo. I'll throw out just a couple more that I don't think are fully, but Bo Levi is out there potentially. There are some good names to go try to get to win. And it's up to now Ed to figure out what's the best quarterback for that. And it's not about necessarily what the fan base wants. I want Trey to be here to do it. I could live with Davis Alexander. I personally actually do like Davis Alexander. I could live with that. But it's going to be a big risk of wherever you go with it. If you go with Trey, it's a risk.
Yep.
If you go away from Trey, you better win because the fan base wants Trey.
Yeah, and the reason I brought up that comparable to Bouchard is because elite traits, something holding him back from being a superstar. That's why I brought that up, because I thought it was obviously in hockey you're playing offense, you're playing defense, you're all over the ice. In football, it's very pointed. You're either offense or you're defense.
Yeah.
But Trey's got all the elite tools, something holding him back. So that's why I use that
I get it.
That comparison to Bouchard, right? Because you see it. There's tons of skill there.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this though, if this new coaching staff comes in, and again it's the same things with Trey Ford, then you can sit there and say, okay, there's something wrong here with Trey. Like, he's not doing something, the coaches are not liking it. What is he not doing to improve his game? But if he's good, and let's say the Elks are halfway through the season, they're 6-3, we're all going to be sitting here and saying, we told you so. Like, give this guy the opportunity to make mistakes, not feel that every time he does play a bad game, he's going to be out of the starting position. So for me, it's, I think the new coaching staff is going to say a lot about Trey Ford, because Trey Ford was with one coaching staff, one regime. I know Chris Jones got fired, but it was the same staff.
Yep.
It was, and they're all Chris Jones guys. Like, so nothing really changed, right?
Yeah, Chris Jones isn't going to be just in football. It's not just that full dictatorship. There's thoughts from everyone. So
Well, and we saw Trey Ford play because Cloud Benthel Thompson wasn't good. Like, they were
0-7.
They were forced to play Trey Ford.
how many wins does Trey have
9
over the last? Is
in
it 9?
3 years, he has 9 wins. He won 1 in 22.
But then now calculate how many did MBT get this year?
He got 2 or 3.
He had 3.
You know, and then Nick Arbuckle has, I think, 1.
No, wait.
Or but you go to the record, you go to this time, it was bad time. But the one quarterback that stood above the rest getting the wins was the guy that can't get that starting job. That's the wild thing,
it's
too,
craziness, right? Like, when you
it's-
think about it, it's actually craziness. But it just makes me go back to my same point, because everybody wants wins. We're in a pro sports is a prove it. Show me what you've done lately, and clearly he's got the wins. But then at the end of the day, there's something that sits there and says, for when Chris Jones was around, it's, well, no, I can't play him. We need somebody better. Well, what do you mean better? Like, this is the guy that's actually getting you the wins.
saved his job.
It did save his job.
Chris Jones wouldn't have had a job
it,
last year with Edmonton if it wasn't for Trey Ford.
So then how doesn't he just say, keys to the kingdom, kid, go ahead?
9 wins. McLeod had 3. Taylor Cornelius had 4. And that's it.
Or did Arbuckle not get one? No, I guess he wouldn't have won. Yeah.
He was 0-4, so
Yeah.
was Jerry. Well, Jerry Daggy only started 1 game. So
He's 0 for 1.
0-1. So Trey Ford won the most games for this team in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Even if you combine the other ones, they don't even have as many wins as him.
Yeah. Go to the last 4 years.
Yeah. Makes no sense.
In 2022, he got hurt, unfortunately. And I think they jumped the gun and signed Taylor Cornelius when they didn't have to. Because Taylor...
Well, they were worried about the XFL. That was the report.
Yeah, but Taylor
Because
wasn't...
Elizondo was in the XFL.
Taylor wasn't playing lights out. He was playing okay, but they paid him a lot of money. They paid him almost top 5 quarterback money, which was a mistake. And then last year, the same thing. Taylor, it took till week 8 to go to Trey Ford.
Yeah.
They even went to Jared Daggy before they went to Trey Ford.
Yeah.
Ford was like the 4th quarterback on the depth chart at one point.
He sat out a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Ottawa and they played, they dressed Khalil Tate instead.
Yeah.
For short yardage, and then he went in for 2 short yardage plays and didn't pick up the yard.
That's been a struggle of the Elks for a number of years. They've had issues with short yardage.
He was released the week
Prukop
after.
was good.
Prukop had his issues. Do not talk to Jay about Prukop.
No?
Do not bring up Prukop
I
to
mean,
Jay.
there were times
he
you're
had
like,
his
okay,
struggles.
got it,
He's
but
one of
he
the
didn't get
better
it.
ones.
Yeah,
He had his struggles. Kyle Loxley obviously couldn't get it in.
Well, he quit on the team.
Well, he couldn't get it in from 3 on that far end,
Oh
which
my
completely
goodness.
derailed the 2023 season.
Yeah, it did. Guaranteed win
They've had
night.
a lot of their issues when it comes to that goal line play. So we'll see. I'll be intrigued. Like, Ed will be announced in a little over an hour's time, or introduced in a little over an hour's time. Obviously, quarterbacking is going to be a big thing that Trey's or Ed's going to have to deal with moving forward. But
Sure, of course.
what does he think of this roster overall? Like, there are good pieces here.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, and it's how much work does he think actually needs to happen to make this team that winning football team, taking the quarterback out of this? There are decisions that need to be made with the O-line, which I was completely wrong with, but we're a really good offensive line last year. You could argue maybe one of the best in the Canadian Football League. After a rough start to the season, they were fantastic, but there's some older guys, free agents. Niles Morgan's a big player.
I was going to say linebackers.
What's he going to do with Geno Lewis?
Yeah.
Do you bring Geno back?
No.
Do you bring him back and can you bring him back? Like, can you spend that? Like, Ed's a receiver. The one thing I like, Giro was a receiver too, but Ed in his time here in Edmonton knocked it out of the park with almost every single receiver he brought in. You know, he did sign a Darius Bowman, I think.
Yeah.
But he found Brandon Zylstra. He found Darrell Walker. Like, it was receiver after receiver after receiver I found. What does he think of Geno Lewis, and does he want to stick with Geno?
No.
I'm
being
not
honest.
saying what you want. I'm saying what does Ed wants.
No, but I'm saying, like, why would you? Why would you? Gino's gonna want to get paid again. Gino's getting a little bit older. I mean, and like you said, Hervey has a knack for finding guys cheap. Like, look at Zach Mathis. He's gonna be better next year. He's 6'7". He's got a great chemistry with Trey Ford. You still have Curly. You still have who else is
Hergy Mayala had a really good year till he got hurt.
Like, again, you're not paying top dollar for a guy like Gino.
I don't think Dylan Mitchell might be on this team moving forward.
Dylan Mitchell's still got a year left.
Yeah, I could see a release.
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
like I could see that. The last 2 years haven't been Dylan Mitchell from that first year that we saw.
No, that's true.
The reason you keep him is because he actually had a really good chemistry with Trey, I would think.
Yeah.
And he is one of the top receivers in the game. And to help solidify whatever you have for a quarterback, what better way than having a weapon like Eugene Lewis that you can just throw the ball near him and he's going to go up and grab it.
Yeah, I just think it's time to move on
From Gino?
Yeah, I and a few other guys here a little older. I think I'll just say this. I'll be shocked if they bring Gino Lewis. Gino Lewis is going to get a contract.
Yeah.
But is anyone going to pay him the big money?
Receiver.
That's
Someone
the one
will.
thing. I don't know if they will. I think Tim White was looking for that payday this offseason. He didn't get it. So he had to go back to Hamilton.
He's not going to get above 3K. There's no chance.
he got here.
Yeah, but he is going to. I still think he'll be a top 5 paid receiver in the league. But there's always a team that's willing to pay. But look at the Elks the last 2 years. They spent a lot of money on receiver.
Yep.
And it didn't really help.
No, because they had a guy that couldn't get them the ball.
Yeah, they couldn't throw the football.
So Smitty the Welder put in the nasty chat, Trey can't read defense. That's such a misconception. Like, Smitty, did you watch Trey Ford play this year? Like, not every drive is a quarterback going to be perfect. And he's going to get sacked. There's a lot of it goes into your protection, the routes, what the defense is giving you. So if you watch Trey Ford this year in Saskatchewan, in Calgary, the last game here, you're telling me he can't read a defense? Calgary, what they do in the last game against him, they blitzed him how many times? And he picked it up it took him 2 drives to figure it out. And then he was 13 for 13.
Yeah.
So stop just repeating what everybody else says that doesn't like Trey Ford. He can't read defenses.
And wasn't there
show your work?
Wasn't there early in that Calgary game, wasn't there some miscommunication from the play calling to...
I don't know if there's miscommunication. I think the play calling was a little weird to start that game.
Right.
They weren't running the ball, and they're a run team.
Right. Rankin just destroyed Calgary that game.
Did Trey Ford struggle immensely against Winnipeg?
Absolutely.
100%. But every quarterback has an off game. Doesn't mean he can't read a defense. No, Winnipeg was rolling at that time. And again, it's context. How was the protection? How were the receivers running the routes? How was the run game? Do you know what I mean?
Well, Winnipeg just suffocated the Elks that game.
And they also had 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
Dude, just gotta say, the official drink of the EST Hangout, it is the Finnish long drink, Legend of 1952. Longdrink.com/Canada is where you can go enter in your postal code to figure out which liquor store near you has it in stock. It is also, they've got a partnership with OEG, so when you're at your next Oiler game, maybe tomorrow night, you could go find the long drink in their traditional or their sugar-free version out at Rogers Place. Want to get to the EST Flyaway to LA, keyword presented by the 780, 780.com. The word 7, the number 80.com is where you can go check them out. They are in store in 5 locations: Kingsway, Londonderry, Southgate, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. I remembered that one. I memorized that one after all this time. Remembered, but the proud sponsor, the 780. Go check them out. The keyword for today to text the 780-218-9999. It's ocean.
Yeah.
Ocean. Ooh. OCEAN. Hernan loves that keyword. Ocean. To 780-218-9999. I will step aside in a moment, and I will qualify someone off the air. Then we'll bring them on. We could all have a nice little quick chat with them. And then, we'll have another qualifier next Friday. We're giving this bad boy away. So there's after today, there's tomorrow, there's Friday, there's Hello Hockey, and then there's 4 days next week. So we're 7.5 days left of qualifying for the EST Flyaway to LA presented by the 780. We're live on TuneIn, iHeart, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, on YouTube. Thanks to those listening on the podcast. Shawn Belle, Tom Gazzola, Hernan Salas, Matt Iwanyk with here on the EST Hangout. We're live at Commonwealth Stadium as in a little over an hour's time, Ed Hervey will be introduced as the general manager of the Edmonton Elks, coming back for a second stint. And the other news of today, Rick Campbell being relieved of his duties from the BC Lions. He's no longer the head coach of the Lions, so we will see. We will see. Imagine if Rick Campbell's here.
That'd be awesome.
Imagine if Ed Hervey comes
sure
by.
I saw Ed walk by.
And then all of a sudden Rick Campbell, like we were talking about the whole Dusty's first show back tomorrow. What if there's all of a sudden Ed Hervey drops the mic and like, guess who's coming with me? Rick Campbell. And Rick Campbell comes out. And then Ed drops and guess who our quarterback is? And then Trey comes out and there's a contract extension. And the whole room loses their minds.
Guess who's back? And then the lights go out and you hear Undertaker's music and all of a sudden
Dusty.
It hits and it's Dusty Neal.
I'm here to call these games next year.
And then just walk to the ring, to the podium. That would be so funny.
This is great.
Lieutenant Eric, by God, that's Rick Campbell's music. Everyone will lose their mind. How great would that? I wish things sometimes were a little like wrestling, because how cool would that actually
It'd be awesome.
Like,
Sick,
just
honestly.
lose. Ed, I don't think Ed would do that though.
Live a little.
It would be great. Does it excite you guys that Ed's back? Like, you're a long-time season ticket holder. You and I covered this team with the Green and Gold kickoff show, post-game show before.
Yeah.
You have I don't know how much you've followed this team and stuff.
Followed it quite a bit, but
like, is this exciting for you?
I was thinking about that today. I'm like, if I took away the media perspective, covering the league, covering the team, talking about it from that point of view, if I was a fan, would I be excited? I think yes. I think the track record, the history of winning here would indicate yes. I would have to go back and remember why things went sideways, because it was at a time when the team was still pretty good.
Well, the official story that came out was a contract dispute between him and Len.
Okay.
And Len took a little bit less money when he initially got the job, and then Ed wanted to be paid as, I think, one of the top execs in the league.
He was
which
a
would
Grey
have
Cup
put him,
champion.
I think, ahead of Len. And that's where a large part of this comes from.
Isn't that the downfall of the Elks at the time? Because they were doing really well, and then as soon as he
They
left,
still had a few more years.
yeah, but you could start to see
decline.
The
Yeah.
decline was happening. So
they were
from a fan base,
competitive.
they were
Because then
ish.
Ish. No, they were competitive.
that was Brock Sunderland, right?
Yeah.
Right after,
Brock then came in. Yep. And Jason Moss was still here for a couple of years.
Yeah, he coached, and
But
they had a
weren't-
few
they weren't
playoff
at the-
appearances.
They weren't the level that they were when he was here, though.
No. Like Ed's. I think it's the right. I mean, there's a few other names being floated out there that I think many fans would have been happy with, but Ed's just. He's green and gold, man, just like Chris Morris, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing, too. I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, I don't want to make the hockey comparison, but I remember the old boys club, and man, I lived it. You were playing you played on the team for a year during that era of the decade of darkness, and then the old boys club became an issue. Let's move away from them. They did. There's still some struggles. This is it with Chris Morris, with Ed Hervey, Rick Campbell eventually. This is going back to technically the old boys club. However, these guys have a track record of success. They've done it locally, whereas on the hockey side, they hadn't done it in 2 or 3 decades.
And it's different because Chris Morris has never been in this.
Correct.
Involved with the organization outside of being a player.
It's an old boys club only when it's not working.
Yeah.
Often you think, like Rob Blake takes over L.A., Joe Sakic takes over the Colorado, the Yzerman goes back to the Red Wings. Everyone's always, they're back, that type of thing. When it doesn't work and you keep double down on it, then it becomes old boys club.
And these guys
that hasn't
won
happened yet
on the field. And Ed as a GM won, and Rick Campbell's won with a different organization. So that's the difference. But I had that thought when I was like, okay, separate the media person from the fan of the team and the game. What do I think? And those were just some of the thoughts that popped into my head. I do think that starting with Chris Morris and the vibe he's creating on the business side and then eventually on the football side too, I think that'll breed success. And if he and Ed have a mutual respect for one another and Ed respects Chris Morris's authority and they can work well with one another and they're not having disputes over pay and contract and this. And if they do, which I'm sure things like that happen in a relationship between a president and a VP of football operations / GM, that they can work it out amicably and still continue to have success and it doesn't affect their working relationship. So there's a lot of differences, obviously, but that was kind of one of the thoughts that rolled through my mind. I'm like, how do I see this? You know, like, what are some of the detractors for a potential return of Ed Hervey? And then him being a winner, I think, is the boon.
I think the Elks have kind of, like, with the fan base, like Chris Morris, now Ed Hervey, I think they've knocked it out of the park. I think there's not a lot of negativity.
Where this could go.
Yeah. And then the coach, the coach is always an interesting one because you're always going to have different takes. It's a guy that, if you're a CFL, everybody knows Ray Campbell, what he's done and all that. We all know his dad and the ties to Edmonton and all that. But if it is Ray Campbell, I think that's three really, really good hires. I like Ray Campbell. I think the way he carries himself, I've seen him firsthand, how he is with his players, with the media, very professional, and a good coach. He's a good coach, guys. There's a reason why he's coached so long in the CFL, right? We always talk about recycling the same guys, but I think he's still one of the better coaches in this league. So if it is him, as it's being rumored, I think it's three great hires by the Edmonton Elks.
Well, it was 8 years ago he took over the Red Blacks, right? When they were just starting out. 8 calendar years. They were 2014 when they came back, I believe.
I think so.
Took him a couple of years to get to a Grey Cup.
Yeah.
Took him a few more years to win one. He did it somewhere where he wasn't comfortable. It was brand new.
Matty, he started in Edmonton, right? As a
2014 Ottawa.
Yeah.
Wow, I felt like it was longer than that Ottawa's been back.
That was him getting his chance. He was part of the next wave of new coaches.
Yeah, he was an Oregon graduate assistant from 96 to 98, but then he was with at the time, Eskimos defensive back special teams coordinator 99 to 04, which is when he would have been with Ed and Chris. Then he took over the defensive coordinator from 05 to 08. Then went to the Bombers for a year, Stamps for a year, was back in Edmonton as an assistant head coach, special teams coordinator in 11, went back to the Stampeders, then was in Ottawa as a head coach, and then BC as a head coach and co-GM. Before we continue on, we've got our qualifier for the EST Flyaway. It is Dave who is on the line. Dave, congratulations. Have you ever been to Los Angeles before?
No, I have not.
If you go, what would you be most excited about doing? The NHL game, the NFL game, the NHL, NBA, NFL. I think those were the three. Or just being in LA in the nice part of our Edmonton winter.
I think the NFL game would be most interesting to me.
And who would you take with you?
Probably my wife. My son and my dad might get a say in that too, but we'll have to see.
And what do you make of Ed Hervey coming back as the Edmonton Elks GM? Is this a good move?
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad to see him back.
Perfect. Well, congratulations, Dave. You're in the mix. Keep your phone on the 29th because we'll do the grand prize draw. Best of luck.
Thank you.
And there's Dave. 2 more chances to qualify today. EST Afternoons with Hernan and the Reed Wilkins Show with J-Mo.
Joaquin. More news from Farhan.
Ooh.
Well, not news. He's kind of... So he says Campbell leaves BC Lions with a 40-33 record, brought stability when it was badly needed. Did he lose the room over how he handled the QB situation? Depends on who you ask. I believe the front runners to replace him will be Buck Pierce and Jordan McSimic. Front runner for the Elks will be Campbell and Mark Killam.
Wow.
Special teams ace from the Calgary Stampeders who was released earlier this month.
I'm not a fan of Mark Killam I think that's too big of a risk to take him. He's been rumored to be interviewed for a lot of jobs and has never gotten, and there's a reason those guys don't get it.
Maybe he didn't. Did he interview for all those?
He's interviewed for jobs, and he's just never gotten it. And I look at it like I go back to, there was Greg Marshall, who was a longtime defensive coordinator here. He didn't get the shot for a long time. He finally got it in Saskatchewan. He got fired in his first season. It was that bad. Richie Hall was the other one. Long-time Rupert, great defensive coordinator. Comes to Edmonton. Didn't go well. There's a thing about guys that just can't get that head coaching job. I don't feel like it usually goes well.
How about bring them both, and he can be like assistant coach, special teams?
No, go to the Bears. Go be a head coach with the Golden Bears.
Man, you really
go be the head coach.
Well, I guess you like him a little bit.
But also, in the end, also go be the head coach of the Bears. Go prove that you could be a head coach. Go be there for 3 years. And then go get a head coaching job in the Canadian Football League after that. Go show that you are a head coach, that you can be a head coach.
Does yeah.
Okay, I'll follow up. Farhan's obviously all over it. Has been in the CFL for a long time. So he had the Rick Campbell being let go and relieved of duties from BC. Chris Edwards, who you know is senior live producer at TSN for broadcast, huge CFL guy. Eddie was talking about Jordan Maximic coming back to Edmonton with Rick would be a huge boost to Trey Ford's career. And then Farhan replied to Eddie and said, Trey will stay. His best opportunity to start will be in Edmonton. No one else will pay him what they will. And Maximic will be in Edmonton unless BC makes him their head coach.
My spidey senses are tingling.
Well,
and Trey Ford, I think, will return in green and gold.
I like that you have spidey senses.
Who would?
That's really good.
That is cool.
I wish I had spidey senses.
Me too.
If you're Trey Ford and you got to think, okay, if you want to be a starter, who gives you the best chance in 2025 of being a starter? Calgary's likely going to get VA. BC's not taking you. Saskatchewan, I'm intrigued what Saskatchewan's going to do. I don't think they move on from Trevor Harris, though.
Yeah, they might roll back with him.
Zach Clark's coming back. Toronto's got Chad Kelly. Montreal's got Arbuckle. Chad Kelly's, or you've got Montreal's got the two guys. They'll have to make a decision. Ottawa's got Drew Brown. I don't know what's going on with Hamilton, so that's the only other one.
But they like Powell.
They like Powell, and they got Bo Levi.
Yeah.
Hamilton's
so
got
it's like,
Tagovailoa.
they've got him as well. His brother.
Right.
But so
They're safe.
they also got Chris Jones.
Yeah.
While he's not a head coach, while he's not in charge of
not-
things, I don't know if Trey wants to be in the same room as Chris Jones as much on a day-in and day-out basis. So there's not a lot of opportunities to be a starter.
Yeah.
If you don't want, if you're okay to wait a little bit longer, one more year to be the starter, if I'm Trey, I'm probably not sticking in Edmonton. I'm going to Winnipeg. I'm going to be the success.
Well-
I'm going to succeed Kolaros there. I'm going to go play with my brother. Or I'm going to Saskatchewan because I'd be a god in that province because they eventually have to move on. Or like I could see a few spots where he can go. But if you want to start immediately, Edmonton's the spot.
And he can bring his brother here.
Also true.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
The Ford brothers in Edmonton. Oh.
I'll just get the one jersey, just the number 2.
No, I know.
I want that. Well, maybe I'll have to get the Terrell.
It's yeah.
Maximic will be a head coach in this league one day. I thought he would have done the BC. I got the BC, but Pierce.
If Milanovic starts bad next year, you know who's going to be the head coach there, right?
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Succession. Earlier you were asking, I think you asked the question of like, what do the Elks have to do to improve this roster? Like, what do they have to do? And I know, Tommy, you mentioned that, the linebackers.
Well, they have good linebackers. I just wanted,
So-
to me, selfishly, if I played fan, I'd be like, I like that trio. Like, and what's DeBlanco doing? He barely played. He was on special teams. They had Moncrief, who came in, solidified Morgan, and Anderson, who was the most outstanding rookie.
So what else would you guys see?
Secondary.
Secondary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So linebackers and secondary are the biggest weakness.
Well,
Keep those linebackers together.
D-line,
They're
too.
great.
I think he can, re-sign Niles Morgan.
Yeah, keep them.
Hope Nick Anderson, and this is tough to say because Nick wants an opportunity in the NFL, but he did say at the award show with the interview he did with 3 Down Nation that he's not going to stay in the NFL just to be a name. Do you know what I mean? Just
He wants playing time.
He wants to play. So he goes, if I don't get that, I love the CFL.
Yeah.
So you can keep those 2 guys. You're probably moving on from Moncrief because he's a little bit older, but there's a guy like DeBlanco, or you can find someone to play that spot. D-line, will they keep Oakman? Will they? Probably
Oakman was
not.
kind of.
They'll need to do it on the O-line.
D-line.
D-line, sorry.
Yeah, I think the D-line's the big one. Because the secondary, I thought Cordell Jackson was good as a rookie. I thought Bynum had good moments.
Yeah.
Kai Gray and
Kai Gray, there's sometimes you'd make
hit and miss.
Yeah, they'd take dumb penalties.
Darius Bratton's coming into his own too in his second year, and then the big one is at safety. Do you bring back Lucius, who had a great year?
Oh,
Should have
man.
been an all-star.
He blew up some people. That guy is a killer, man. Like the way he hits sometimes. You want to talk about playing downhill? Lucius Purivoy, if he locks in on you, look out.
I am gonna miss KB though, Kevin Brown. He was an excellent running back.
Well, they got to figure out what they're going to do with Leak.
Yeah,
If Leak's back, is he a running back or is he a returner?
probably a running back.
Then you need a returner,
Yeah.
and you got to figure out what's happening at kicker.
Yeah.
Well, I think Boris Beatty's under contract.
Yeah, I
he
don't
is.
think but there's a good chance I don't think he's back next year.
Yeah, that's.
I think
Jake Julian's back.
but they
He's
had
great.
Vincent
Blanchard.
now it's a different regime, but they had him in that last game. You know, he did get benched twice throughout the season, Boris Beattie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be I don't think he was cheap coming here.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking to improve this roster, if you're wanting to spend a little bit on the secondary, on the D line, you might not commit that much money to a kicker who you're not that confident in, or might not be that confident in.
Yeah.
You want a kicker, like you don't want to cheap out on kicker, but you also don't want to overspend on one that's going to kick at, what was Boris's BD percent this year?
He was like at 74 at one point. I know he cleaned it up a bit.
Boris Beattie was at 78.1% this season, field goal percent. Which,
a little bit being the emphasis there. Not
the
good.
only Dean Faithful was worse, and I can't even put Dean Faithful worse because it was one game, and he was 50%, so he's one of two. So you have to take Dean out of this. Boris Beattie was the 10th best kicker in a 9-team league.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everyone.
That's a rough one. That's a rough
There were guys
sell.
rolling at 95% for the majority of the season.
Shawn White, 94.3. Rene Paredes, 93.2. Maltos in Montreal, 91.7. Haralahu, 90.2. Cody, 90. Leggio and Hamilton, 89.6. Lewis Ward, 87.9. Brett Lawther, 82.8. Sergio Castillo, 79.7.
Sergio was 79?
He had a tough
lot
game
of
here.
Yeah.
He had quite a few misses,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
he hit long ones.
Yeah. That's
And
interesting.
Sergio was complaining about the chip in the ball at first game
Yes.
or
To
two.
start.
Yeah.
That's
So-
interesting that Boris was that low.
Well, he was off. They were.
Yeah.
It
was
isn't,
like
though.
low 70s at one point.
I will say it's not, because look at his career stats. If we're going to go punting or field goal,
Field
where
goal.
is it? That's kicking. That's punting. Why is there no field goal? Why can't I get the field goal stats?
They don't have his field goal stats.
Okay,
He's
so
probably just tied
Welcome to the
his punting.
CFL stats.
well, like
page.
it's like they have his punting.
How many rude?
Oh, here we
can
go.
you make?
Okay, so this past season he was 78%. The year prior he was 95%. The year before that he was 78%.
Oh boy.
The years before that, I will rattle them off to 2001 to 2017. 85%, 88%, 85%, 83%. He's a low to mid 80s kicker.
Yeah.
If
And
you-
they
if-
pay-
If you go to the earlier part, but 2 of his last 3 seasons, he's actually been a sub 80 kicker.
And they paid him for his one.
The one
Really
off
good
year,
season.
he came off of a career year.
If he's at an 85 this year, how
Mm-hmm.
many more games do the Elks win?
Well, they beat Montreal in Montreal.
So you said 85. So he
If they were
attempted.
just at 85.
Yeah, I'm
if
trying
he
to see
was-
how many more kicks that would be.
Because he missed a big one in Montreal.
So he would need 2 more. It'd be 2 or 3 more kicks.
So that's at least one win.
He blew the Ottawa game. He missed like a bunch of field goals in that one. I think they win that
So
one. So I
2
think you
wins.
can maybe argue, depending where those kicks were, I think you could argue 2 games.
Montreal for sure. Because he missed the kick that would have gave him a cushion
Yeah.
late in the game, and then Montreal went down and scored and won the game.
So
So
then
he beats
how did they
Ottawa. He
finish?
beats Montreal.
Yeah.
They tied with BC. They have the tiebreaker. BC. They're in the playoffs.
There you go. So even if you just had a kicker, that
If
was
he
at
makes
85.
2 or 3 more kicks this season in the right spots,
Yeah.
they were a playoff team this season.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, are you going to spend, because he's not cheap, are you going to spend that money on a kicker who you can't be confident in, or do you move on and go with
I
the
would-
younger guy who is apparently really good?
I would
and
move on in a heartbeat.
Right?
And they might, because it's the CFL, right? You can just release guys, and
Yep.
no, unless
you-
they had guaranteed money.
If you've got the younger guy that's better, and he's not going to cost you anymore, you can fill maybe 2 or 3 holes
yeah.
with that money.
Oh yeah.
And your team is now obviously way better.
You can use that money on leak, because they signed Rankin already to a futures. But I think, Rankin, when he played, was amazing. He might be the number 1 tailback here.
He should be.
But that money you can spend on D-line, you can spend on leak if you want, or a receiver.
O-line possibly, because,
O-line.
again, the age of these guys.
Left guard,
Do you
I
have to
think.
move?
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to go there? And then that's where it's okay. If Gino's not back, okay, he was 3. Let's say even he is back. Okay, what do you get him at 250? That 50K addition, does that give you the ability to go bump up your pay for 2 more guys that you were going to go with and get 2 better players or something? So the cap management is going to be very fascinating to watch. But yeah, like if they win the right 2 games, the Edmonton Elks are a playoff team this season. They take out the BC
Crazy.
Lions.
Well, BC was 9-9.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah.
Dusty has... Dusty texted me. I'm on the air, so of course I'm going to read it. He's got to know, right?
That was
Cut Beattie. Campbell brings Shawn White with him.
That would be
That'd
great.
be great.
That would be-
yeah.
Sean White curled, I think, at the Shamrock. Go see my boy Gavin.
He was he did the rink. He did the ice.
Yes.
He didn't just curl. He cleaned.
He
like,
made the
was
ice.
Maintenance. Is Shawn White a free agent? He is. He's even
Bring
a free
him back.
Bring everyone back.
Bring him back.
Bring everyone back.
He was,
Oh, here we go.
94% this season?
Yes.
The guy can still kick. Sean Fleming kicked till he
Missed
was
some
43.
kicks in
but you
against
have
Saskatchewan.
you have
Missed some
some
kicks
young
against
guys,
Saskatchewan,
right?
though.
You have a younger kicker.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
You probably just want to go with him.
Well, they don't know if he's good.
I don't know.
But
That's-
and they brought him
and
late.
he isn't an Ed Hervey guy that's brought
Which
in,
is
right? Like
fair.
young part of that. I'm not knocking Shawn White or saying he shouldn't come here, but he did struggle against Saskatchewan in the playoff game this year.
I would just my thought process is you have other holes that you need to fill.
Yeah.
Fill those holes. Figure out the kicker after.
But the one difference if you can get a guy like Shawn White, why I would spend the money on that one
Yeah.
is that when you have that drive that gets you to the 35, to know that you're going to get points just mentally for your offense and your whole team it's just a boost. It's just and knowing that they go out there for the field goal and it's not like, oh, I hope this goes in. Like, no, we got 3 points, boys. Like, we don't even have to watch this. We got 3.
Yeah.
Good job. Like, knowing that you're going to go get those points, it's just huge. And when Shawn White was here, you could feel that with this team.
Yep.
And whenever this franchise hasn't had kickers, like, you just see that. Like, it's like when people want to rip on Skinner or whatever, like he lets in that goal and they think like the players, they get deflated. In football, I could imagine being an offense that drove, got 3 first downs, got into field goal range, and then also missed field goal. We got 0 points for that one, or maybe 1.
Don't do it, Matty.
Don't do it,
I just
man.
had to say
Don't
that those are the
do it,
rules,
Matty.
boys. I'm
Don't
not
do
bringing
it.
it up, but those are the rules at this moment.
Unfortunately,
At
they
this
are.
current moment, they are the rules.
Unfortunately, they are.
I want to get to Road Warriors, brought to you by AccuSteel Heavy Haul Trailers, custom manufacturing of heavy haul trailers. Check them out, AccuSteel.com. Get your large loads on the road. What do we've got tonight? Because it is Wednesday hockey.
And I do have a special addition to add to Road Warriors today that has an impact on our
Golden Knights on the road against the Leafs. Hurricanes on the road against the Flyers. Sharks are in Dallas. Preds are on the road in Seattle. And then the Sabres are in LA to take on the Kings. Buffalo is in Eastern Michigan in some NCAA action, while Toledo is home to Ohio. I believe this is...
I'm glad you brought that up.
I have to. It's Mid-American Conference action, and there's no one in Canada that's going to bring you more information on the Mid-American Conference than Edmonton Sports Talk. We've got you covered on Wednesday action. We didn't get people covered on Maction yesterday, so I'm getting people covered on the Mid-American.
Well done.
What do you have for Road?
The Oilers Entertainment Group announced today that Rogers Place will host the PWHL Takeover Tour. It's a neutral site game featuring the Toronto Scepters and the Ottawa Charge, February 16th. So they're
that's pretty
taking their show, the PWHL, is on the road. That game will be played at 2 o'clock our time, Mountain.
You said 16th?
February 16th.
So that's a Sunday. That's during Four Nations. WNBA in Edmonton had 16,655 sellout. We'll see what the hockey does.
Hopefully.
Do you think
Ticket
that
sales go on sale tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Do you think there's ever a play with the Oilers Entertainment Group to try to get a PW team?
I think there's a play by a local. Yeah, maybe it's the Oilers, but I think we'll see a team here eventually.
I think this is one of those tests.
Yeah.
Edmonton, if you
gotta
want
be.
PWHL, you gotta show up for these type of things.
Yeah.
That's how it's always going to
Yep.
be. You got to show up for.
WNBA earlier this.
Because I know
W-
that Cassie's already alluded to it.
Well, we had Cassie Campbell on Hello
Well,
She's
Hockey.
alluded to
Yeah.
it. but-
Eventually, this league is going. Like right now, I understand why they don't have anything at West. Cut down on travel costs. At some point, if you do expand, you're not expanding by one team. You have to expand by multiple to build a Western division.
Yeah.
To keep costs down a
Yes.
little bit until you have a little bit across.
Yes.
So which markets would you go to? Edmonton should be one of those. But you also have to have a market that shows that we will support this.
The only other, I guess with expansion, you probably want to stay out east first and then start to crawl this way.
What did Cassie say about that to
Do
us?
you?
Well, that's my, if you're
Like,
trying to
wouldn't
keep,
you want-
if you're trying
wouldn't
to
you
keep
want
costs
Vancouver?
down, I would agree. Like, you should have Vancouver, you should have Edmonton, maybe there's a Seattle franchise. Like, I think you could have a nice, grouping of cities in the West. But if you're talking about expansion, the easiest one, obviously, is to find the next closest city in the East. Like, you've got Boston, you've got Minnesota, You've got Montreal. You've got
And they
Toronto,
might. You're right, Belsy. Like they might do that.
right? And
Keep it in
make
there.
sure that the costs are low. Make sure that the league is running on all cylinders. It's viable,
So
and then start to go.
the only thing, like Minnesota is kind of an outlier when you look on the map. The other 5 teams are much closer. So to your point, do you bridge that gap to Minnesota?
So,
a
but
little
what
bit
is a
more?
Minnesota to a Montreal? That's what, an hour and a half flight? So it's not the worst flight.
No, I know, but to your point, like
Yeah.
grow in the area
that
between
area.
Minnesota and Toronto.
Yeah.
Feel like there's Chicago there. I don't know what else would kind of be in there. Can you fill that out a little bit more?
Yeah.
Milwaukee would be around somewhere. Milwaukee, I think's in there. Can you fill out with some of
Yeah,
those?
you have some of those teams, and then okay, now we've got our teams. We're viable. Now let's start to go after some of these other ones, because then we know that we guaranteed to have 10,000 a night in all those cities. Obviously, it might be more, it might be less, but I don't think they want to rush just for the sake of expansion. I know that Cassie did say that there's talk of expansion already.
Yeah.
But now they got to be calculated and strategic in what they're doing, because if they just instantly say, okay, we're going to go to Edmonton, well, Edmonton to Minnesota is a 3-hour flight for sure. Travel expenses through the roof.
But that's where if you launch west, I think you need to launch like 4 to 6 teams at once.
Yeah.
And you're going to have very little interconference play.
Yeah.
You'll have very limited east-west until the final, almost, if you will, to try to lower those costs. But you have to have enough teams out west that they could also, like what you're saying about everyone's close out east,
Yeah.
you have everyone close out west so they could do the same thing out west.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what teams would those be? What American teams can you fill in with that? Depending on how low you want to go with that. Like, could you get Seattle in there, Vancouver, Edmonton,
Portland,
Is
That'd be nice.
Colorado a little too low?
maybe. What about like a Saskatoon or a
I was thinking that.
Winnipeg?
Calgary.
Like that Calgary, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they are getting the women's soccer team. Calgary.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Thanks for that contribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No, I like it. I like that Calgary's getting that soccer team. Oh, boy.
Well, you're just looking over there and just, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like,
It is cool.
the way you said it, though, and everything.
Well, I didn't have much to say about the other stuff, so it's just, I heard soccer and I perked up.
Clearly, you want to talk some Chile?
No.
Okay.
They
we'll
won,
leave that
actually.
one. Did they?
They won 4-2.
Canada won yesterday against Suriname. We're moving on to the Nations League semifinals in March. We
What
get
was the score?
Mexico 2-0. So
That's
3-0 on aggregate.
That's it?
Suriname's decent. They got a lot of Dutch players.
Where is Canada ranked?
They are going to move up to
bumped up.
31 once the new rankings come out.
Wow.
They are only 2 spots away from Wales.
We don't suck? Man, that's amazing.
And actually, there's a graphic. I'll pull it up for you guys. There's a list of every team that has won at AT&T Stadium in
Because the
2024.
women are top 5, aren't they? At one
I
point,
don't
they
know.
were...
All the teams that have won at Cowboys Stadium in 2024. Ravens, Saints, Lions, Eagles, Texans, Texas A&M, USA Soccer, Canada Soccer, Jake Paul. Teams that have not. Dallas Cowboys.
Get that Jake Paul stuff out of here.
Love Jake Paul. No, I'm just kidding.
Why?
Don't.
What was I going to ask you guys? Canada. Yeah. What were they playing yesterday?
Suriname.
Great question there. Canada. Yeah.
No, what tournament are they playing?
CONCACAF Nations League.
I don't even know what that is.
It's really complicated. It's just they've created a little cup. UEFA has it too.
Yeah.
To build a little something to do every year. So in March they'll have the winner of the CONCACAF Nations League. Canada also qualifies for the Gold Cup in 2025 because of this.
But somebody asked him about the Chilean national team the other day, and he's like, "Oh my God, they are awful.
Their
Golden
last
age
play
is over."
but they won yesterday,
Well, that's good.
What can I say about?
which is
I
not.
think that's awesome.
You guys want to hear about it?
Sure.
Yes, they do.
No, you don't.
He'll go. Yeah.
It's Road Warriors.
Okay. Bad.
I mean,
Oh,
they,
no, we suck again.
they scored 4 goals.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
And the other team didn't score 4 goals.
They scored 2.
No. Did you see his eyes light up?
Oh, man.
It's a win.
I was watching the
is.
highlights this morning. It was amazing. For a last place team.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
We
Very nice. Fun show. A lot of good texts.
Perhaps want to dive deeper into that, or
But no one cares. So
I do. I'm listening.
Well, I did too.
Yeah.
Me too, kind of.
okay, they won 4-2. Now they're in second last
Nice.
in World Cup qualifying.
I can't wait for
They're
26.
moving on up.
Moving on up, they only have 6 games left. World Cup qualifying will start again in March, so they get some time off.
That's
here
when Canada plays Mexico.
for the Nations Cup.
And then the winner moves against
See,
U.S.
I
Panama.
know now.
U.S. Panama, they get that. And that's actually the big thing about Nations League is that the fact that Canada now, on a more regular basis, if they can take care of business, they get to play Mexico and the U.S. more.
Yeah, Canada needs to play better teams.
I agree.
Seriously though,
No, it's
Oh, they've gone through a run of really good teams recently.
I know, but they got to continue it because
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's almost
almost like you
impossible.
got to commit money to your program.
It's
to,
not that.
be able
It's
to-
not that.
the
Moving
other
forward,
teams don't want to play them.
well, it's so the international window is now moving forward. CONMEBOL is a little different, but they are getting into World Cup qualifying. So when there's the international windows,
Yep.
the nations are all booked. UEFA is going to be playing each other because they're qualifying for their World Cup spots, and everyone's
So
playing
just
for their
play the
World Cup
Americans
spots.
as much as you can.
Well, it's Canada, U.S., and Mexico. Get used to seeing them a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was a September window. Canada played the U.S. I don't think they played Mexico. You're going to see these 3 nations play each other a lot because they need to play and get ready for the World Cup in 26. But it's hard to go out there and try to book a Germany because Germany's booked up because they're trying to qualify
Yeah.
for the 26 World Cup still. And so that's where it's like there's very few openings now from now until that 26 World Cup where Canada can actually go book a proper friendly to get it done because they've loaded up. They got rid of friendlies in soccer and they've created these nation leagues things to try to make it more exciting.
Yep.
But then that leads to less chance of playing against each other.
Because wouldn't it hurt Canada then to not have the ability to play against some of those upper echelon teams, so that you know what you're getting into? Like if Canada goes and plays Germany, and they get beat 3-0. Okay,
Yeah.
this is what our benchmark is.
Mike
now
needs to
moving
come back
forward. Oh my God, it's been there
It's
the
on
whole time.
It actually hasn't.
Really? Did I
Yeah,
change it?
it's that much with that, Mike.
Okay. Well, what do you got to say?
I have nothing
Say
to
what
say.
you got to say.
I have nothing to say.
What do you think of Canada soccer, Tom? You can say it.
I want to finish.
No, I'm
'cause
doing this mic
you
thing.
got to play these big nations to
Well, yeah.
learn
So
where you are.
you find out you play Germany.
Yep.
Germany beats you 3-0.
Yep.
You're not upset about it because Germany is a better team, but now at least you have your benchmark to say, okay, this is what we need to get to now, as opposed to playing some of the teams that they are. I feel like you don't ever have the ability to really get that much better.
They just did all of that in the spring. They took on Netherlands, they took on the French, and then they did Copa America, where they took on Argentina twice. They had Peru, Chile,
Venezuela.
Ecuador, or was it Venezuela?
Venezuela.
And so, but that they lost. I think it was 3-0 to the
Yeah.
Dutch.
Yeah.
And it was the very first match I think Jesse March had as a manager, and they got that. Now, can they find more of those opportunities before 26? There'll probably be 1 or 2 friendlies before the World Cup,
Okay.
so they'll get something then in 26. But between now and then, I think it's going to be very difficult to do that. But they got that, and I think that's going to be the template of everything that happened over June. Is the template for Jesse Marsh moving forward with this program? Going, okay, this is what we need to work on.
Now they have their benchmark
Yes,
to say, okay,
yes.
we got
Can they have success without the drones?
Yes, because Marsh was the story is Marsh was asked about drones at Copa America and he said no, he didn't want to use it.
Oh, okay.
So when Canada had their success recently, men's at that tournament, they were not using drones by all accounts.
Are we over the drone thing?
Do we still care about that?
We
Doesn't,
do
like,
because
every
Bev
team do
Priestman
it?
got knocked out, which is great because
Herman
apparently
should get.
the players it was tough. They feel like there's a breath of fresh air since she's been gone.
Really?
And this is actually going to be really good for the women's national team. That's what I believe.
That's great.
We're almost done with the EST Hangout. Then we'll be on for a few minutes here. We'll come back with the live at Commonwealth Stadium, special coverage, EST, Ed Hervey being announced as the general manager. You boys then can leave to the press conference. I will connect with Dusty. We will then carry the Ed Hervey press conference, and then we'll have full coverage post-press conference, including hopefully having Ed Hervey sitting in one of these chairs with a conversation right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. This was a fun hangout. We went all over the place. This was great. Boys, thanks for coming out to Commonwealth Stadium. in our new office. I'm just gonna. We have the satellite
We'll be
office
here,
now.
yeah,
We have the
yeah.
satellite office. Again, thanks to everyone for tuning in to the EST Hangout. Like I said, in just a few minutes, no lock shop. It will be us here. You'll see us again, but on a new stream, just because we're going to get set for Ed Hervey being introduced as the new general manager of the Edmonton Elks. On behalf of Belle, Gazzola, Hernan, Matt, thanks for tuning in to the Hangout, and we'll talk to you in just a few minutes.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here, joining us today.